Good evening. I appreciate you guys coming in on a Sunday. Very excited and honored to represent our conference in the Russell Athletic Bowl down in Orlando. A great game from talking to some coaches who have been down there before, and certainly a great destination, not just for our football team, but for our entire university and fan base. Orlando's a great city and a place that people go for a lot of reasons in December, and I think this will give our fans one more reason to go down there. To play a traditional power like Virginia Tech, I think is going to be a great experience for our team and a great challenge for us. Coach Beamer is the active wins leader amongst Division I football coaches, and certainly his track record speaks for itself. They've got a fine football team. I'm in the beginning stages of getting to know their team a little bit better, but I know they've got a very talented quarterback in Logan Thomas, who leads their team both in passing and in rushing, and they've got a very fine defense, ranked 24th in the country, and do an excellent job against the run, and certainly do an excellent job in scoring defense as well. As you would expect from a Frank Beamer team, their special teams are excellent, and their kickoff returner and their punt returner, both really fine football players. Their punt returner we're very familiar with, somebody that we had a lot of interaction with during the recruiting process. And we are very excited to get going here with the second season. The bowl season gives us an opportunity to, I think, do a couple different things. On a football team where we were able to redshirt 17 freshmen, it gives us another 14 practices to develop that group of players and get them ready to be hopefully contributors next season. And it also gives our seniors an opportunity to do something that only two teams in the history of Rutgers football have done, which is get to the double-digit wins mark. And I think that when you get to the 10-win mark, it separates your team and your year, and it puts you in a little bit of a different class. And certainly, great programs a lot of times are defined by their 10-win seasons. And so I think this is an excellent opportunity for us to send our seniors out the right way, not just as the first team in history to win a share of the Big East title, but also one of only three 10-plus win teams in the history of our program. So with that, I would open it for questions.
Kyle, with Virginia Tech, what do you know of the history between Rutgers and Virginia Tech?
I know they're a former member of the Big East, but when I got here in 2005, Virginia Tech was already in the ACC. So I know Virginia Tech's had an excellent football program for a long time. And other than that, I really don't know much about the rivalry between those two schools.
Kyle, if I'm looking at Logan Thomas or knowing what you know of him so far, would he kind of compare to somebody you've seen in the Big East, like a B.J. Daniels or a quarterback like that?
His skill set might be similar. Again, I haven't watched enough film to make those kind of comparisons, but I know enough about his stature that he would be much different than B.J. He's a 6'6" athlete. B.J. is probably a 6'1" athlete. So I think he's a different guy than maybe anybody we've seen in a long time. But until we watch the film and really get into it, we haven't even done the film exchange part of it just yet. So until we do that, it's tough to say.
How's your team psyche, and do you have any doubt that they'll be able to regroup and win a ball game?
I think, following the game, we were certainly disappointed. There's no doubt as a football program, we were disappointed at the outcome of the game. But when I got a chance to see the players today, they're excited about the opportunity that's ahead of us. And I think we certainly have proven that over the years, the last 7 years specifically, that our track record in terms of getting ready for these bowl games is pretty good, whether coming off a win or coming off a loss at the end of the season. I think the bowl season is a new season, and we've always approached it like that. It's got a little bit of a different format to it than the regular season, and I think our teams have really done a good job of focusing on the opponent and trying to finish off the season the right way.
What do you think are some of the keys to bowl success, since you were around so much of it? Is there any particular things you picked from Greg and want to enhance or tweak?
I think, going into this for the first time, for me, I can only draw on the experiences that I had as an assistant coach doing it here at Rutgers. And for us, I think part of the success here has come from, first of all, making it a new season, and that's what it is. Really, when you play a game and then you don't play another game for about a month, it's a completely different situation than you're ever in, during the regular season. I think part of it is certainly the training you do off the field, because you're not going to practice every day. So what goes on in the weight room and from a conditioning aspect, I think, is critical to make sure that you are ready to play a football game in a month. You know, I think when you finish the season, your bodies are beat up. By the time you get to the bowl game, you would hope that you're in a little bit better physical condition, physical shape than you were maybe at the end of the season. So I think those are the things that jump out to me, you know, right away. And then I think certainly as you get closer to the game, the focus shifts from being developmental to game planning. And I think you have to make that shift not only as a coaching staff, but the team has to make that shift. The priorities change as you get a little bit later in the bowl season.
Kyle, do you know what you're looking at as far as practices yet, when you're going to go and stuff like that?
The way I have it mapped out right now, we're going to have 14 practices before the game. The first of which will be this upcoming Saturday.
And is it 15 you're allowed? Do you know what the number is?
There really is no number that you're allowed. You know, I think people come up with that number because a lot of times coaches refer to bowl season as an extra spring, and I think people make the association of it being 15. It would be, you know, with the academic requirements of our team and our university, I don't think it would be in our best interest to have more than 14. I think 14 will give us an opportunity to do both, to develop our younger players and then make sure that the game planning part of it, you know, we're ready to go. It's very much in line with what we've done in the past.
When do you want to be there?
We're going to get there the Sunday prior to the game. We'll travel. And when we travel that Sunday, because the game's on a Friday, essentially that'll put us through a normal game week for us.
23rd?
I can tell you it is the 23rd, correct. We would travel on the 23rd, play on the 28th.
And when would your first practice be?
24th.
Is the full week off, is that more mental or physical that you want to give them that break?
It's physical. It's a week off from football practice, but it's not a week off from training. You know, we'll be doing stuff, you know, from a strength standpoint, from a conditioning standpoint in the weight room. But this is also a critical time for our players academically. You know, we're reaching the end of the semester, so there are papers that are coming due. There are final exams to prepare for. So it'll be a full week for our players, even without going on the football field until Saturday.
How much of a kind of a, not necessarily a shock, but a new experience for the true freshmen or the redshirt kids who are going through finals and going through a bowl season, you know, for the first time? How much of an adaptation thing is it for them?
It is. It's a tremendous change. You know, the players have gone through a longer season than they've ever gone through, and now they're about to go through another season. And they'll have this week off the field, but we're still going to train through it. And from an academic standpoint, it's a little bit different than anything they've experienced because they're going through college courses for the first time. So there definitely is a transitional phase into bowl season for those freshmen, and I think we try to stay very in tune to that with the position coaches and the academic support, et cetera, to make sure we get them through it the right way.
Is it any kind of challenge to balance fun and the business aspect of it?
It never has been for me. I really believe if you're doing something that you enjoy, you should be able to work really hard at it, but really enjoy while you do it. And that's something I've always enjoyed about the different places that I've coached. Even when we get to these situations where we're getting ready for a game and the outcome of the game has consequences. You know, for us, there's a tremendously positive consequence for these seniors of being able to go out with a 10-win season, something that separates them from a lot of football teams here at Rutgers. So we're going to take that very seriously, but I think while you do that, you should be able to enjoy it and enjoy the experience. You know, we've used the expression here in the past, when it's time to work, it's time to work. And then when that part of the day is over, then you get to enjoy some of the benefits of being a bowl-eligible team and going to a great place like Orlando.
Kyle, from a health standpoint, one, I guess just how is Brandon Jones coming out of that game? And two, are there any guys that you lost early in this year you could see maybe being back for the bowl game?
To answer the second part, really the one guy would be Kyle Federico. You know, we have to see really with 4 weeks to between the last game and the bowl game, we'll get a little bit of an idea of where he'll be. Brandon Jones, my information today, we were more optimistic today than we were at the end of the game. So, but it's going to be without getting into the specifics of the injury, it's going to be a very tight timeline for him. So he's really going to be kind of on the bubble until we get to about game week, and then we're going to have to make a decision.
Kyle, how similar are these two teams, at least at first glance, in terms of their defensive and special teams philosophies?
Well, I've never met Coach Beamer, but I certainly know enough about him for being in this business to know how he values special teams and how his football teams embrace special teams. And I would like to think that we do that here as well at Rutgers. Defensively, I know what they used to be because there were a lot of teams locally that ran the Virginia Tech 4-2-5 system. I don't know that that's what they still do because I haven't looked at them on film yet. but I know they got a great tradition of playing good defense, having some really fine defensive linemen while they were doing it. And then as we get into the film, be able to have a little bit of an idea of what the similarities may be. But I don't think structurally there's a lot of similarities. But again, I haven't studied them yet.
Have you gotten any initial feedback from Tim or Jason or anything about fans getting down there and what your expectations are for big fan turnout from Rutgers?
I have not discussed with either of them specifically what it would be, but I know we've been fortunate to go to some great cities, with these bowl trips. Orlando certainly is as great a destination as there could be, for a bowl game late December, between the game itself and then Disney and the surrounding opportunities you have in that city. I have to believe we've had very good turnouts in the past for these games. I have no reason to believe we won't have the best turnout we've ever had for this one.
I got one more then. I know it's a non-contact period, that part of the month, but playing in Florida, does that do anything recruiting-wise, just for visibility?
It certainly doesn't hurt, and it certainly is nice for the players on our team, that are from Florida. It gives their families a chance, and maybe family members or former teammates or former coaches who haven't been able to get up here to see a game. It gives them an opportunity in their home state to get out and see their guys, play locally. So I think certainly when you go to a bowl game in an area that you recruit, there's no negative to it. It can only be a positive.
Any other questions for Kyle?